Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to learn about a review of related literature. So here the very first question arises about what is review and what is the importance of reviewing a particular literature related to your research topic. Well, this is the first and foremost step for every researcher that they have to understand the literature about the previous work. So they should review the related previous work which has been carried out. So, in order to understand this in detail, well, myself, Dr. Sushma M. Jogan, I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Education, Vijayanagara Sri Krishnadevara University, Ballari. I welcome you all in this video to understand about review of related literature. So, the review of related literature is very much helpful to build an impactful literature review. The selection of good data sources is very much necessary for every researcher. So, in order to understand this in detail, let us understand the meaning of review of related literature. So, the meaning of review of related literature is it mainly focuses on summarizing, evaluating, and criticizing existing studies, that is, a problem area. It means every researcher has to understand, every researcher has to focus on summarizing the work which is done on a particular area, that is, on a particular research problem. So, to evaluate a study which is carried out, to criticize the existing studies, so all these can be done with the help of review of related literature. So, now the question arises how this review of related literature can be taken place. So, to answer this, here there is classification. So, under classification, you can understand different types of articles that you are going to review to understand the research gap of the previous carried out studies from your study. So, there are basically two types of articles that you can review to understand that research gap. So, in that, number one is periodical articles, and number two is published articles. Well, periodical articles means which you see, which you can read those articles which is published periodically. For example, magazines, so scholarly articles, newspapers which you see in the daily. So these are nothing but which is being published in the regular intervals. So this type of articles we can call it as a periodical articles. So researcher can get the review of related literature from periodical articles also. The other type of article is published articles. So published articles are can be reviewed from peer-reviewed journals or government publications and even websites. Nowadays, it is very much easy for a researcher to go through different websites which I have given under the sources. So, what are those different websites? Let us see in detail under sources of review of related literature. Well, published articles, and that you can see, for example, peer reviewed journals. So, here a peer reviewed journals is a journal where you can see the subject experts committee, so where they will go through the articles on the particular subjects. So those will be published and will be available. So these are also called as e-journals. So you may also get government publications. So publications, published articles which is done through the government. For example, government schemes, government programs and policies, these can be published with the help of government publications. So as well, you can also see different websites. Now let us go quickly to the purpose of review of related literature. So when we are discussing about meaning and classification, let us understand the purpose. Why do we require? What is the main purpose of reviewing a particular literature? Well, the main purpose is to find gap. So here a researcher should try to understand what is the research gap. He has to identify that particular gap with the previous work from the previous work to the current study. So that is why the main purpose of review of related literature is to find out the gap. That is, we call it as a research gap. So the next comes recent and relevant studies. It is very much important for a scholar, for a researcher to understand recent and relevant studies. It is not that a researcher cannot say this study has been not done anyway. That is really very wrong. Instead, a researcher should try to find out and identify relevant studies for his chosen research topic. So that is why he has to identify recent studies and which is very relevant to his particular study. So the next comes background information. So this is also very important. A researcher should understand the background information, that is the samples of the study. The main thing is to identify the research method, which type of research method has been adopted in previous studies, so that what type of method can be adopted in the present study, that has to be identified. So all and even samples, variables, so findings, of course, discussions, results, everything they have to know in detail. That is why a researcher should try to get the background information for understanding, reviewing the literature. So next comes understanding about current state. So a researcher should understand the current state also. So what is the relevancy from the previous study to the present one, and how many studies have been taken place? So based on those criteria, based on those techniques, the researcher can identify the researcher can understand the differences between the previous and the present one. That has to be addressed, that has to be mentioned in the present study as well. So these are some of the purposes to review the literature, that is to review the related literature. Let us go with the sources of reviewing the particular literature. So this is very important for every researcher. They have to understand the sources, as I have told. So, from where they can identify, so from where they can review different literature so that they can identify and find out the research gap from the past to the present studies. So, here are some of the examples, some of the sources to get the review. So, in that, the number one is Google Scholar. So, Google Scholar is easily available. This is a scholarly journal, of course, e journal. So, here you can get sorry, this is scholarly websites where you can get a number of studies which is very relevant to your study topic. So that is why you can get it from the Google, of course. So go to the Google and just type Google Scholar. In that you will find the new tab. So in that you can just put a topic of your own. So it may be impact of particular programming, or it may be a development of any particular software or learning packages, or it may be, if it is a descriptive study, give a particular search word so that it can identify, so that it can bring a very relevant literature to you. It is very important. This researcher has to input the word which is very particular, which is being used for the relevant study. Otherwise you cannot put a study on cybercrime awareness among the students. So it may show some of the studies on awareness, it may show some of the studies on cybercrime, so like that among students. So it may show some of the studies which is done for the students. So that is why it is very important to input the word in an appropriate manner so that you can get the relevancy of literature related to your specific subject. So next comes Jstor. Jstor is also online databases where you can get particular reviews for your study, for your current study. So next comes academia.edu. So academia.edu is also a good number of reviews you can get it from that, and even ResearchGate. ResearchGate is very user friendly, I can say. So if you identify some of the reviews, it also shows a very relevant one in the right side column. So you can go through the ResearchGate as well. And next comes Scopus and Web of Science. Since these are the databases where you can see a number of studies so that you can review for your present study as well. So the next comes a very important one for the subject of education and even for social sciences research as well. That is ERIC. ERIC is nothing but Education Resources Information Center. I repeat, Education Resources Information Center. This in this you can get n number of articles, infinite, I can say infinite, on one particular topic. So again, while searching or while when you go to the main page web page of this website eric, that is eric.com, under eric.com you can visit the eric.com where you can see the tree. Under the tree, beneath the tree you will find a tab where you can type your topic and that, and you will find a number of studies, of course the very recent one, the very present one as well, that is 2022. Since we are in this particular 2022 year, so it also shows 2022 years studies and how many author has been done that, how many researcher has been done that particular study. It shows all in numbers as well. So you can go through the topic and you can go through by, you can search by author or you can search by topic. It depends on how you are going to evaluate and summarize. That's what the meaning of the review of related literature is. So you can summarize, you can evaluate, you can criticize the different studies, and you can mention in your own words. So that is all about ERIC, that is Education Resources Information Center. So this is very important one. Dear scholars and even researchers, you can go through with this platform as well. So next comes the method. Now, when we understand about the meaning, classification, purpose, and sources, let us understand what is the method of writing review of related literature, or what are the method that we can adopt, that we can follow in writing or in understanding review of related literature. Well, here you can see reading, analyzing, evaluating, and synthesizing. Well, researcher has to read and read and read again and again. So unless you read, you cannot understand the review of related literature. So when you read the abstract, when you go through an article, don't just jump to the headings, that is introduction, methodology, discussions, and conclusion. Do not do that. Go through the abstract properly. When you go through the abstract, abstract is nothing but a summary or a gist of a particular paper. So it is like something head of a human body. So instead of leaving head of the human body, and if you go through the body of the article, then it's something like you're missing something. So instead of that, don't do that mistake. Go through the abstract first, so you will understand what is the article is all about. So you have to read each and every section of an article so that you will understand and you can analyze that in an appropriate manner, and ultimately you can evaluate and you can synthesize in a precise manner, so that is how you can write method, you can adopt these method while you go through with the review of related literature. And now the next comes how you can mention, how you can write. Well, to write a review of related literature, every researcher or every research guide suggests their own style of writing. So it can be written in a paragraph, that is followed by author, year, and what is their study is all about in a paragraph. Or even you can write in a systematized manner, which starts something like this in the first title of the and the first author, and he followed by year and title of the study, objectives and methodology. So methodology, which is all about the technique, sampling technique, statistical technique, samples, variables, and uh, uh, the method, of course, the method which has been followed to conduct the study. And the next comes findings. So in this way also, in the subheadings also you can write, or you can also write in a paragraph. So whichever is convenient to the researcher, they can adopt that particular method or technique to write to present review of related literature. Overall, I can say you can plan accordingly and in a precise manner do write the review of related literature in an appropriate manner so that it get a clarification for why you have chosen the particular research topic or what is the purpose to conduct the present study. So I think you people have understood about review, conducting review of related literature. Well, thanks for watching.